Hey everybody, we've got some big news here tonight as the Jesperi Kotkaniemi situation has finally worked itself out. We've got an offer sheet, we've got a trade, and we've got 3 teams involved. There's a lot to get into here, so I won't waste any more of your time. The Montreal Canadiens did not match Jesperi Kotkaniemi's $6.1 million offer sheet from the Carolina Hurricanes, meaning that Kotkaniemi is now a Carolina Hurricane. They then went out and traded for Christian Dvorak from the Arizona Coyotes. And they got Dvorak in exchange for a first-round pick and a second-round pick. And we'll take a look at the full trade here as Dvorak is now going to take Kotkaniemi's spot and presumably be the second-line center for the Montreal Canadiens this year, while the Arizona Coyotes continue to do a very good job of acquiring draft picks and loading up on draft assets as they get a conditional 2022 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick from Montreal. The condition on the first-round pick is that it will be the higher of either Montreal's pick or Carolina's that they got in exchange for Kotkaniemi by not matching the offer sheet. However, it is top 10 protected. So if that pick ends up being in the top 10, whichever one is higher, it will revert to the lower pick. If they are both in the top 10, it will revert to the lower pick. So it's top 10 protected, but they will be getting the higher of either Carolina or Montreal's first-round picks this coming draft in 2022, unless it's in the top 10, and then it reverts to the lower pick. So that is the condition on this first-round pick. The second-round pick is just straight-up Montreal's from 2024. So Arizona continues to do a very good job as a rebuilding team of acquiring draft picks, loading up on assets, and doing what they've been doing all offseason, which is, getting these draft picks and acquiring all of these assets in exchange for roster players or in exchange for taking on bad contracts that other teams needed to get rid of. And in this case, it was that Dvorak fills a huge need for Montreal, and Arizona knew that, and they were able to get a first and a second-round pick out of it. That is very, very good for the Coyotes in the long term. Christian Dvorak coming in, I like him a lot. I think he's underrated. He had 31 points last year, including 17 goals on an offensively challenged and not very good Coyotes team. I think Dvorak is going to be a very good middle six center for the Canadiens, and he'll slot in behind Nick Suzuki just fine. And for Carolina, obviously they get now Jesperi Kotkaniemi at $6.1 million for next season, which I've talked about that in the previous offer sheet video. I don't think Kotkaniemi is worth anywhere near that, and I think this is honestly good for Montreal, and we'll take a look here. I'm going to do a comparison. I mean, Dvorak is brought in now to replace Kotkaniemi, so let's take a look here at comparing these two players. Kotkaniemi is 21 years old, and he just signed this offer sheet for 1 year, $6.1 million with the Carolina Hurricanes. Christian Dvorak is a little bit older at 25 years old. He has 4 years remaining on his deal at $4.45 million. So Montreal is actually saving over $1.5 million this coming season by trading for Dvorak and letting Kotkaniemi go. This is definitely, I think, the right move from a cap standpoint for the Canadiens. And you look at their career numbers, Dvorak, obviously older, has played 302 career games. He has 67 goals, 79 assists for 146 points and a -19 rating. He's been, over the course of his career, scoring at about 0.48 points per game. However, last season, in 56 games, he had 17 goals and 31 points. Obviously, that is higher than his career averages. He had a really strong year last year in Arizona, and it looks like he's really coming into his own. That's why I think he's probably going to have a really good year with the Canadiens this season. Kotkaniemi has played 171 games in his career. He scored 22 goals and 40 assists for 62 points and a minus 11 rating. He has scored 0.36 point per game so far in his career. Now, he obviously is 4 years younger, much less developed than Dvorak, much less further along in his development and whatnot. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the ceiling for Kotkaniemi or that this is what he's going to be long term. There's obviously a lot of upside still here, but he had 20 points last season. Dvorak had 31. He had 5 goals last season. Dvorak had 17. The best player right now is Christian Dvorak. He's also older and more developed. Long term, we don't know. Kotkaniemi still obviously has a very, very high ceiling. But all in all, I think the Montreal Canadiens made the right move here. They're a team that is spending to the cap. They don't have a lot of money to work with. Kotkaniemi is not a proven top 6 player by any stretch. He's been pretty much a third, even fourth line guy at times for the Canadiens. And he's not worth anywhere near $6.1 million right now. That doesn't mean he's never going to be. But right now, I don't think the Montreal Canadiens could afford to be paying him $6.1 million for essentially somebody who's been a career bottom 6 player. You get Christian Dvorak, who's better right now offensively. Going to probably see improved offensive numbers in Montreal compared to what we've seen in Arizona because he's playing now with a better group around him and on a better team than what he was playing on in Arizona. I think you're going to see a really strong year out of Dvorak. I think you're going to see good production out of him. He's going to be playing behind Nick Suzuki, who is a clear-cut number 1 there in Montreal. And I think Dvorak is going to fit in nicely. You're paying him $4.45 million to be a pretty solid second line center, I would imagine. I mean, I'm thinking he's going to have a 50-point season this year. If he's over 50 points, that's a really solid second line center. You've got Suzuki at the number 1 spot. You've got, Caulfield's going to be in his first full season. You're going to get production out of him, especially on the goal sheet. I really think that this was the right move. You're getting a player who at least right now is the better player, with significant term left on his contract at 4 years, $4.45 million. You're paying him less money than what you'd have to pay Kotkaniemi for this year. Now, we don't know what Kotkaniemi's contract is going to look like after this season. This offer sheet was just for 1 year. He's certainly going to be taking a pay cut unless he completely goes off this season and scores like 30 goals or something. He's going to be taking a pay cut on his next deal. He's probably not going to be getting $6.1 million again unless he really has like a 30-goal, 60-point season or something insane like that. But the point is that we haven't seen that or anything close to that from Kotkaniemi yet. So what Carolina has done is paid for what he might be worth eventually, but certainly isn't worth right now. Christian Dvorak is well worth $4.45 million right now. Absolutely well worth it. 17 goals in 56 games last year, 30-plus point player in a shortened season. You're looking at probably a 50-point player in an 82-game year with Montreal this year. Well worth the 4.45. So from a value standpoint right now, I think the Montreal Canadiens made the right choice here. I would much rather have Dvorak at 4.45 than Kotkaniemi at 6.1. And for that reason, I think Montreal has done the right thing. And now Carolina, they're going to have to hope for a big year out of Kotkaniemi, a career year out of him, a breakout year. If not, this is going to end up being a massive overpayment, and they're definitely going to be reducing his salary on his next contract, unless he has that miraculous year this year. But all in all, that's where we're at right now with the Kotkaniemi saga. We've got him now in Carolina on that 1-year deal, getting paid over $6 million. I mean, good for him. That's a huge payday for somebody who's never been more than a third liner. For the Arizona Coyotes, I think this was A great trade for them, getting a first and second round pick for Dvorak. Assuming that they do well drafting and that they use these picks wisely, they have set themselves up to be a very successful rebuilding team down the line just because of the sheer amount of picks and assets that they currently have after this offseason and all the moves that they made. And for Montreal, I really think they made the right decision here. I said it in the original video when Carolina offer sheeted Kotkaniemi that I would have strongly been considering not matching that and just taking the picks. And that's what Montreal decided to do. The more I thought about it, the more I agree with that decision. I don't think Kotkaniemi's worth $6 million, not even close. And I think Montreal now has filled a need at center with Kotkaniemi gone. They got a very adequate and suitable player in Christian Dvorak, who actually might surprise some people with how good of a year he has this year. I think there's a lot of upside still with Dvorak. I think he can be a 50-point player. After seeing what he's done, what he did last year and what he's done, the progression in his career to this point, as long as he keeps improving, I absolutely think he can be a 50-point player and a clear-cut number 2C. So, that's where we're at with this. If you like this content and stuff like this, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. It helps the channel so much and is greatly appreciated. You can also follow me on all social medias. The links are down in the description. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of it. Check it out down there. If you want to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.